Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to the virtual meeting for projects 435808-2, 5201, and 435808-6, 5201. These projects propose multiple improvements along the Interstate I-95, Cypress Creek Road, and Andrews Avenue. Slide number 2, please. At this time, I would like to introduce the project team. Slide number 3. My name is Kenzo Jasmine, representing the Florida Department of Transportation, District 4, and I am the project manager. I have with me today Mr. Anthony Georges, the consultant project manager with BCC Engineering, Mr. Sudhir Chinta, the engineer of record for project 435808-6, 5201, also with BCC Engineering, and the public information officer, Ms. Leila Haddad. At this time, I would like to acknowledge any elected officials that have joined the meeting. I invite you to please use the raise your hand feature in the GoToWebinar to introduce yourself if you choose to do so. Okay, it looks like we don't have any. I would also like to recognize the Commissioner Moritas with the City of Fort Lauderdale, District 1. And I am not sure if she's already with us, if she's attending tonight. Okay, slide number 4, please. I want to quickly go over the meeting agenda for tonight. First, we will explain the technical information, the non-discrimination policy and rules of engagement, the project location and project background, the existing conditions, proposed improvement, temporary traffic control plan, project schedule and cost, questions and answer, and we have the closing and the contact information at the end. I will now turn it over to the Public Information Officer, Ms. Leila Haddad.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Next slide, number 5, please. About the virtual meeting format. Due to the state of emergency declared by Governor DeSantis in Executive Order 20-52 as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is authorized to be held virtually and not in person. We are using the GoToWebinar platform for the meeting, and there is no cost to the public to log in or dial in to participate in the meeting. Next slide, number 6, please. Next slide. There we are. On your control panel or device screen, you should see something that looks like a control panel in the upper right corner. In it, you will see a chat function. That is what you use to send a comment or question. Next slide, number 7. For those of you who have dialed into the meeting on a telephone line, and you are viewing a hard copy of the slide presentation, the presenter will announce the page number of the slide being shown on the screen so you can follow along. Next slide, number 8. All attendees are placed in a listen-only mode throughout the presentation and meeting. You can submit comments or questions by typing them in the chat function on the control panel at any time during the meeting. We will provide responses after the presentation, or you can wait to speak at the end of the Q&A session. Next slide, number 9. This meeting is being recorded and will be available after the meeting. It'll be posted on the project website. Number 10. Public notice for this virtual public meeting, including information about how to access the meeting platform, was provided in flyers to property owners and tenants in the project area, a posting in the Florida Administrative Register, advertisement in the Sun Sentinel, and in emails to persons on the project contact list, on social media feeds, and other notification methods. The notice was also posted on the City of Fort Lauderdale's website. Next page, slide 11. The department encourages the public to participate in this project by submitting comments and questions. As mentioned earlier, you can type your comments in the chat function on the meeting control panel during today's meeting. You can email Kenzo Jasmine, the project manager, at the email shown on the screen, or you can mail direct first class to f.office at Commercial Boulevard, or you can call him. All comments and questions submitted through these options are part of the public record for this virtual meeting and will be considered by the department during project decision making. I now turn it back over to Kenzo. Thank you.
Non-discrimination policy and rules of engagement. Slide number 13, please. The Florida Department of Transportation complies with various non-discrimination laws and regulations, including Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This meeting is being held without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. For questions or concern, you may contact either the Title VI coordinator at the District 4 office or the State Title VI coordinator in Tallahassee. The contact information is included in this slide. Slide number 14, please. Here are the rules of engagement that were established for this virtual public meeting. The meeting is being recorded. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact George Valens at 305-796-8170 so that a member of our technical support team may assist you. All attendees will remain muted throughout the meeting. Attendees are also welcomed to submit any questions, comments using the platform's chat box at any time, and a member of the team will respond during the open discussion. If you are participating via telephone and have questions or comments, feel free to submit them to FDOT Project Manager Kenzo Jasmine after the meeting, and responses will be provided. Now, I'll leave you with the Consultant Project Manager, Mr. Anthony Georges.
Thank you, Kenzo. Slide 15, we'll cover project location and background information first before we get into the project overview. Slide 17. On this slide, you can see the overview of the limits of the project. The limits of our project are from south of Commercial Boulevard on I-95 to north of Cypress Creek Road. You can see it on the map on the right. The purpose of the project is to increase capacity and improve traffic operations and safety for I-95 and the cross street Cypress Creek Road and Commercial Boulevard. FDOT completed what we call a PD&E study, which is a project development and environment study in May of 2019, and the design phase began in July of 2018. For design purposes, the project has been split into 5 separate segments, starting with segment 2 and running through segment 6. That's differentiated by the colors that you see on the right. What we'll be discussing today are segments 2 and 6 specifically. Slide 16. Project location. Like I mentioned, we'll be discussing segment 2 and 6 specifically. Segment 2 is shown on the screen in the red color. It includes I-95 southbound from south of Commercial Boulevard to Cypress Creek Road. It also includes work along North Andrews Avenue, as well as Cypress Creek Road from the SFRTA railroad tracks, which is where Tri-Rail runs, towards the east, towards I-95. Segment 6, which is shown in blue on this figure, covers I-95 northbound and a portion of Cypress Creek Road from I-95 to the east to northeast 9th Avenue. slide 18, I apologize, the numbers are off. Moving into proposed improvements on slide 19, we'll discuss each segment one at a time. We'll start off talking about segment 2, run through a list of the changes that we're proposing, and then move on to segment 6. So what you see up here is the proposed improvements for segment 2. I-95 southbound within segment 2 will be milled and resurfaced, and we'll have some minor widening for accommodating a new off-ramp. One of the major changes that we're proposing here is a new southbound collector distributor road, and what a collector distributor road is basically just a ramp. That ramp will run from North Andrews Avenue and the park and ride lot at Cypress Creek Road over Commercial Boulevard, and then join I-95 southbound, and we'll get into some more detail with that in just a moment. We're also going to be milling and resurfacing Cypress Creek Road, as well as some minor widening along Cypress Creek Road. On North Andrews Avenue, we will have milling and resurfacing as well, some minor widening to accommodate bike lanes, but along Andrews Avenue, the major improvement there is a replacement of the bridge for Andrews Avenue over I-95. In addition to these improvements, we're going to have bicycle and pedestrian improvements along Cypress Creek Road. Specifically on Cypress Creek Road, we will be adding in what we call a shared use path, and that is a wide path on either side of the roadway that can accommodate pedestrians and bicyclists. And now we have just a short fly through of the improvements that I'll recap again what we're doing. So you can see here, we'll be going in the direction of traffic along I-95 southbound, starting just south of Cypress Creek Road and heading towards the south. We'll be modifying the existing on-ramp from the park and ride lot as it is today. That goes directly onto I-95. You can see here, it'll stay separate from I-95, cross under the Andrews Avenue Bridge, and join in with the ramp that comes on from Andrews Avenue. Those two ramps will come together as a 3-lane ramp that eventually drops down to 1. That ramp stays barrier separated from the I-95 main line. There won't be any opportunity to join the I-95 main line until you're south of Commercial Boulevard. That will run parallel to the main line between the railroad tracks and I-95 southbound. What you see here, we're getting to the southbound exit ramp to Commercial Boulevard. That blue area indicates widening. We'll be widening that ramp from a 1-lane ramp to a 2-lane ramp, as well as additional turn lanes at the intersection itself. Here, our CD road, you see in red, crosses over Commercial Boulevard. That'll be a bridge over Commercial Boulevard. It'll join the existing flyover from westbound Commercial to southbound 95. That'll come together as 1 lane from each movement, and that'll join the I-95 main line, eventually dropping down to 1 lane just north of the Power Line Road bridge. And now we'll go over, and that was the improvements on the I-95 main line. We'll go over and look at the improvements on Cypress Creek Road and Andrews Avenue was the next clip of the video. So here you can see Andrews Avenue. Like I mentioned, Andrews Avenue, the bridge is being replaced. That bridge replacement will accommodate the new on-ramp from the park and ride lot. So that bridge will be lengthened. We'll start working east of I-95, replace the bridge, and continue working west of I-95. There'll be some widening along Andrews Avenue here to accommodate the new 2-lane exit ramp to southbound 95, as well as bike lanes along Andrews Avenue. When you reach Cypress Creek Road, we'll start our improvements west of the SFRTA railroad tracks. The blue color on the inside there will be some turn lane improvements at the intersection of Cypress Creek Road and Andrews Avenue. We'll be adding double right turn lanes for the eastbound to southbound movement, as well as extending the left turn lanes. The dark blue along the outside represents the shared use path, which is what I mentioned before. This is a wide path that will allow for pedestrians and bicyclists to ride alongside the roadway. The path will be buffer separated from the travel lanes of Cypress Creek Road with an open area. So now what we'd like to do is run through the specific improvements that are proposed at some of the key locations along the project. What we're looking at on the screen now with slide 21 is a section, what we call a typical section, which is basically cutting a section through the roadway. And in this case, we're looking towards the north with traffic for southbound 95 coming towards us. What you see on the left-hand side of the screen is the existing configuration. And let me explain what existing means. It'll be existing at the time that our project goes into construction. There's currently an ongoing construction project on I-95 to install express lanes. Those projects are ongoing. They'll be complete sometime in late 2022. Our project will come into construction after the completion of those projects. So the existing section when we go into construction is 2 express lanes on the right-hand side of that existing typical section, and then 4 lanes on the I-95 main line. With our proposed improvements for the project, we'll maintain the number of lanes on the I-95 main line. You can see right here, same 2 express lanes that are being constructed now, and the existing 4 through lanes. With our improvements, we will construct this new ramp here. This is a ramp that's going to take traffic from the Cypress Creek Road park and ride lot, as well as Andrews Avenue onto 95 southbound. Like I mentioned, this ramp stays barrier separated from the main line until we cross over Commercial Boulevard and join in with traffic there. Looking at Cypress Creek Road now, there really isn't much of a change between the existing and proposed sections in terms of traffic lanes. Like I mentioned, we are making some improvements at the intersections, but the big change here is the addition of this 10-foot shared use path. Right now, the existing configuration is a 5-foot sidewalk along the curb and gutter. We are proposing a shared use path that's typically 10 feet wide and has a separation that'll vary anywhere from 1.5 feet from the face of the curb up to 10 feet from the face of the curb, depending on where we are in the project. So that's the big improvement that's proposed along Cypress Creek Road. And then along Andrews Avenue, not really much of a change again in terms of travel lanes, but we are adding in paved shoulders that can be used as bicycle lanes along Andrews Avenue. Now looking at some of the improvements along I-95, I'll show you first the existing condition, and then we'll compare it to what's being proposed as part of this project. I want to point out here the existing configuration for the southbound on-ramps. There's one ramp that comes on directly from the park and ride lot onto I-95 southbound. There's a second ramp, 1-lane ramp that comes on from Andrews Avenue onto I-95 southbound. With our proposed improvements, we'd be modifying the on-ramp from the Cypress Creek Road park and ride lot. It'll be a 1-lane ramp, but it'll stay barrier separated from the main line. It'll cross under the Andrews Avenue Bridge. We'll have a new 2-lane ramp from Andrews Avenue that'll be widened from 1 lane to 2 lanes, and that'll join together with the Cypress Creek Road park and ride lot ramp. Those ramps will come together, remain barrier separated from the main line, and eventually cross over Commercial Boulevard with a new bridge and join in on 95 southbound, which I'll show you on the next slide. Right now on I-95 southbound, the existing configuration where the flyover ramp joins in, the flyover for westbound to southbound comes over Commercial, joins in as a 1-lane ramp, and merges into I-95. With our proposed improvements, we would bring in, this is the lane from the existing westbound to southbound flyover. We'd bring in the additional lane, which is the new lane coming from Andrews Avenue and the Cypress Creek Road park and ride lot. Those 2 lanes would come together, join the I-95 main line, and eventually merge down as we move towards the south, north of the Powerline Road Bridge. Another improvement that we're proposing as part of this project is modifications to the Commercial Boulevard off-ramp. This Commercial Boulevard off-ramp today is a 1-lane ramp. That's 1 lane that comes off of Commercial and then widens up at the intersection. If you're familiar with the area, you know that coming on from Andrews Avenue, you do have the option to get off at Commercial. Typically what happens is Andrews Avenue traffic will try to change lanes and what we call a weave movement, and get across to the left-hand side, while traffic that's trying to exit at Commercial Boulevard is changing lanes, weaving to the right. That weave movement creates friction on I-95, and it creates issues for operations as well as safety. By creating the CD road, or the ramp that I showed you on the previous slides, we eliminate that friction. The other improvement that we're making to the Commercial Boulevard off-ramp is widening it to 2 lanes at I-95 and widening 1 additional lane at the intersection. Now slide 29 will cover the intersection improvements on the surface streets. This is the existing intersection of Cypress Creek Road and North Andrews Avenue. You can see the existing configurations listed there. Slide 30. We are widening the eastbound to southbound right turn lanes to have 2 right turn lanes. That movement will be signalized to accommodate those double rights. Currently, that movement is a yield condition. We are also adding in bike lanes along Andrews Avenue south of Cypress Creek Road there'll be some minor widening to accommodate those additional bike lanes. Slide 31. This is the intersection of North Andrews Avenue and North Andrews Way. You can see the existing configuration is shown here: one right turn lane, three through lanes, and one left turn lane. We will be modifying that to have 3 through lanes, 1 left turn lane, and we will be adding in bicycle lanes along Andrews Avenue. Slide 34. Some of the benefits with the work that we're proposing here are shown on this slide. We're increasing capacity with the addition of turn lanes on the I-95 ramp, so the addition of turn lanes at the intersection of Cypress Creek Road and Andrews Avenue, as well as modifications at the North Andrews Avenue intersection. The other big improvement that we're doing here is improving safety. And the biggest improvement that I'll point out in terms of safety and operations is what I mentioned before, the southbound CD road or southbound ramp from Andrews Avenue. By barrier separating that ramp and allowing traffic to merge south of Commercial, we're eliminating that weave and that friction that's created between Andrews and Commercial Boulevard. With the elimination of that weave, we expect significant safety benefits as well as operational benefits by not having that conflicting traffic and that cross weave movement, like we call it. We also are improving pedestrian and bicyclist safety by adding shared use paths along Cypress Creek Road. Those paths will provide designated pathways for pedestrians and bicyclists, and they'll be physically separated from vehicular lanes. So now we'll move on to the segment 6 improvements. That's the area that's shown in blue on the screen. For segment 6, like I mentioned earlier, I-95 northbound main line will be resurfaced, and we will have some minor widening and a new off-ramp location for westbound Cypress Creek Road. There will be also work along Cypress Creek Road for milling and resurfacing, some minor widening for turn lanes, and we will be making the same bicycle and pedestrian improvements with the addition of the shared use path over towards the east to Northeast 9th Avenue. So for segment 6, we'll go through the same process here, a fly through of what the proposed improvements are. We're looking at northbound I-95 this time, and we're starting in north of Commercial Boulevard. So you can see here as we move to the north, only minor resurfacing proposed here, not really any work or any changes. Here we cross under the Andrews Avenue Bridge. That bridge will have been replaced in the previous segment 2. Here you see the off-ramp to eastbound Cypress Creek Road. There are some turn lane improvements that we'll cover later, but this is where you see the major improvement. The exit for westbound Cypress Creek Road is being moved towards the south. There'll be a new bridge over Cypress Creek Road that you see there in red, and that will lead into a 2-lane ramp that'll loop around and join westbound Cypress Creek Road. The addition of that, or the modification of that exit point allows for more deceleration and again, improves safety for motorists using the interchange. Oh, I apologize. Let me see if there's any way to skip ahead in this video. All right, so we'll skip over the remainder of that video. I'll show you the improvements on Cypress Creek Road in the next slides. Slide 37, we're comparing again typical sections, this time for northbound I-95. Again, this is our project coming in after the completion of the express lane project sometime in 2022. There'll be 2 express lanes, 3 general purpose lanes on the I-95 main line. With our project, this project that we're discussing today, we'd be adding in the new exit ramp to westbound Cypress Creek Road. That'll come off south of Cypress Creek Road and remain separated from the main line. Slide 38, this is comparing Cypress Creek Road east of I-95 this time. So you can see the existing comparison between the existing section and the proposed section. Really no change in the number of lanes. In this case, we are adding in modifying a turn lane here, but the big change here is the addition of the 10-foot shared use path and the buffer separation between the shared use path and the curb and gutter. Slide 37, here we'll compare in plan view the improvements to what's out there existing today. You can see the existing off-ramp for northbound 95 to westbound Cypress Creek Road is a single lane ramp. That ramp comes off north of the Cypress Creek Road Bridge. And again, if you're familiar with the area, you know that that exit, you'll exit from I-95 and have to slow down immediately to go around the curve there. On slide 38, with our proposed improvements, we will be moving that exit point back towards the south of Cypress Creek Road. Drivers will exit here, and you'll have plenty of time to decelerate before getting to the loop. This loop ramp will be widened from one existing lane today to 2 lanes. Slide 39. This is the existing configuration for Cypress Creek Road at the northbound ramps. You can see the northbound to westbound ramp is a free flow movement, 1 lane. Same thing with the northbound to eastbound ramp. It's a 1 lane free flow movement. And in this configuration as well, you do have another weave movement on Cypress Creek Road westbound. Traffic that's coming off of this ramp is looking to change lanes to the left to not be trapped onto southbound I-95, while traffic on Cypress Creek Road is looking to change lanes to the right. So that's slide 40 with our proposed improvements. We are modifying that intersection configuration. So the northbound to westbound ramp is being modified to a 2-lane ramp, like I mentioned before, but this will be a signalized intersection here. So traffic that's coming off at this ramp will stop at the signal, and when they get the green signal, they'll be able to turn. By doing this, we've eliminated the weave. Traffic will come out off the ramp into their lanes. They won't be trapped in that rightmost lane to go onto southbound 95. Similarly, on the northbound off-ramp to eastbound, we're modifying this ramp to be a 2-lane off-ramp instead of the 1-lane ramp that's there today. This movement will also be signalized and allow for traffic to come out onto Cypress Creek Road with the green signal. Slide 41, we're looking at the intersection now of Northeast 7th Avenue and Cypress Creek Road. You can see the existing configuration is shown in the text there, 1 left turn lane with three through lanes. Slide 42, we are adding a second left turn lane, so we'll have dual left turns from eastbound to northbound 7th Avenue. In slide 45, we'll discuss the benefits for segment 6. Similar to segment 2, we have increased capacity by adding in turn lanes at the I-95 ramps and Cypress Creek Road. We're also improving traffic operations and safety by reconfiguring the Cypress Creek Road westbound off-ramp. By moving that exit point south of Cypress Creek Road, we are increasing the deceleration, improving safety there for drivers, and we're eliminating the weave on Cypress Creek Road by signalizing that ramp movement and having it as a 2-lane ramp. In addition, we're making the same improvements to Cypress Creek Road that we are making in segment 2. We'll be adding a shared use path on both sides of the roadway to accommodate bicyclists and pedestrians. The limits along Cypress Creek Road will match up, so where segment 2 ends, segment 6 will begin, and that'll run towards the east. Slide 44, temporary traffic control plan. Move on to slide 45. Temporary traffic control plan is how we will construct the roadway. We will be maintaining the existing number of lanes on I-95 and Cypress Creek Road during peak hours at all times. There will be lane closures required to make these improvements, but those lane closures will happen in off-peak hours. In the case of I-95, that'll happen at night. On Cypress Creek Road, that'll happen at night, as well as midday during the off-peak times, so not during rush hour. There will be lane closures for the sidewalk work and resurfacing work. Like I mentioned, any overhead work, so bridge construction work, will require a full closure of traffic underneath, and that'll be, we'll make notices to the public well in advance, and that'll also happen at night during off-peak hours. When necessary, we'll provide pedestrian detours to make sure that we maintain connectivity at all times, and we will maintain access to properties at all times. So driveways for residences and businesses won't be impacted. Slide 46, project schedule and costs. Move on to slide 40. Apologize, these slide numbers are off. Slide 49, we'll treat each segment individually. Segment 2 will be, in terms of design phasing, we're currently in design. We're at what we call our initial design phase, which is about a 30% level plans. We've completed initial, we're moving towards our next step, which is 60%. We're expecting design completion in February of 2025. A construction start date has not been established for this segment. We will it hasn't been, and the reason for that is that the project hasn't been funded yet. We're estimating the total construction cost at about 38.2 million. Slide 50, segment 6. It's also currently in design. We're at the same stage, the initial plans development. We're expecting design completion for segment 6 in September of 2023. And similar to segment 2, there is no construction start date yet because the project has not been funded for construction. We're estimating the cost for this to be at approximately 16.2 million. And with that, I will turn it back over to Kenzo.
Actually, next slide. Can you move to the next slide, please? Okay, so that concludes the presentation. And to provide your comment, again, use the chat button to submit any comments or questions you have. And please include your name and email address. If you have a question that is not responded to during the workshop, we will provide a response in writing after the workshop. I'm now going to start reading out loud the questions already submitted, and the team will provide responses. There's one question that was asked and responded to all, but I'm going to read it out loud, and Kenzo, maybe you could respond to it in case others didn't see it in the chat. Are they planning to extend the sound barrier on the east side of I-95 to 4th Avenue and Oakland Park?
Yes, Lila, I did provide an answer to that question in the chat, but maybe the asker was not paying, or maybe they didn't see it. The PD&E study, the project development and environment study, analyzed two options, and the recommended option from the PD&E was a 14-foot wall that will be extended to Northeast 7th Avenue. Now, of course, traffic noise impacts and noise abatement measures will be evaluated during the design phase for a final recommendation prior to construction. So we are currently coordinating with the noise specialist from the department, and there will be a final recommendation prior to construction. Now, the short answer to the question is yes. That condition is currently being evaluated by the design team.
Thank you. Next question. Are the improvements to the power line commercial intersection still part of this project?
The power line intersection, power line and 59?
Power line and commercial.
Oh, power line and commercial. Yes, that would be segment 4 of this project. Yes, it is part of the the overall improvement from the PD&E study.
And Kenzo, if I can add to that, that segment 4 that Kenzo mentioned will be the subject of a separate public workshop. We're covering 2 and 6 today because that comes first in our schedule, but we will have a separate meeting to cover the other segments, which will include that area.
That's correct. Thank you, Anthony.
Next question. What are considered peak hours and off hours for the temporary traffic control? Exact hours, please.
Anthony, you wanna get that?
Yeah, so the peak hours vary depending on where we're at. And the answer to that, we don't have exact hours yet. We will go through, for every project where we're proposing lane closures, we go through a lane closure analysis based on the existing traffic that's out there, and that'll yield the lane closure hours that are acceptable, where we minimize impacts to traffic. So we don't have exact hours for you yet, but there is a process to analyze that and review that, and it'll be different for I-95 versus Cypress Creek Road.
Leila, I think there's one attendee with their hand raised. Mr. Brian Davis.
Yes. Okay,
And-
Brian, I'm going to unmute you, and I think you have to unmute also yourself to allow you to speak. Grace, it doesn't look like I can unmute him. Are you able to help? Brian, have you unmuted yourself?
Yeah, Mr. Davis, it seems like you're muted on your end. I think we've unmuted you, so if you can unmute yourself. Yeah, so it seems like Mr. Davis is muted still. If you'd like, you could type your question in the chat box.
Leila, do you know if Grace is still with us? Grace, are you able to help?
Yeah, it looks like she's still here.
Okay. Okay, now he's unmuted. Okay, go ahead,
Okay,
Mr.
there we
Davis. We still cannot hear you. I see that you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat box and see if there's anything. Okay. Okay, unfortunately, we cannot hear Mr. Davis.
At this time, does anybody have any other questions they'd like to share? Mr. Davis, I'm sorry we can't hear you, but please give Kenzo a call tomorrow. He'll be glad to answer your questions. Okay, I see he's typing in.
Okay, that's good.
He attempted to type something in.
Something there. It's not going.
That should be working.
Hello?
I think, yeah, we
Can
can
you hear
hear
me
you now,
now?
Mr. Davis. Yeah.
I'm sorry. My concern is that we have a bunch of noise here as it is already. I live right on 3rd Terrace. We were dead-ended by 95 project in the first place, which I don't have a problem with. My concern is that I have had more than 10 accidents that has come through that fence and guardrail at the end of that street. Now that you're going to put 2 exit lanes on eastbound coming off of the northbound ramp, which would be right at the end of my street where you're going to put a stop sign, would add to the noise and the safety of the children that play in that. There's a lot that's at the end of the street on 3rd Terrace. As you can see, Anthony, if you've looked up on your screen, when you go back to, I think it's page 47, you see what I'm talking about? All right, you see right here where the corner is at, oh, no, you passed it. Go back to 47 again. 45, or now
Sorry about that.
Go back one more, keep going. That's 7th Avenue. That's 7th Avenue intersection, which I
Yeah.
don't think you could put the sound barrier all the way down there, guys. I hate to tell you, I don't think it's going to go all the way down there. I don't think you have room. But right
Right.
here, okay, right here, right where you have the light at on the off ramp
Mhm.
going eastbound, that street that you see right there is 3rd Terrace. Right there. That's 3rd Terrace. There's just a fence there and a guardrail. The guardrail is at the end of the street that's right there. They've had to replace that guardrail 3 times already because of multiple cars coming through that fence and that guardrail. But my concern is there's a lot that's right there at the end where the kids from this neighborhood play in all the time because it's good enough to play a football game in. And if we have more traffic coming out there, I'm really concerned about not putting the wall up there, guys. I really am.
Yeah.
If
So,
we could, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was regarding the wall. I don't know if you heard earlier when Kenzo was speaking. The PD&E study looked at the potential for a wall here. They looked at 2 options. They looked at a 12-foot high wall. They decided that wasn't enough noise abatement.
Enough.
And they looked at a 14-foot high noise wall. And that 14-foot high noise wall, their recommendation, I guess they determined that there's sufficient noise abatement. They recommended that we reevaluate that in the design phase, which is where we're at now.
Yes,
So we're working with the noise specialist to get that evaluated and confirm, I guess, what was in the PD&E findings. Where we're looking at the potential, the area that's being evaluated is from where the noise wall ends today, which is somewhere around here behind these trees.
Mhm.
We're looking at extending it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're looking at extending it as far east as we can before we get to this intersection.
Okay.
So all that analysis has to happen, and that's happening in this phase now before we get to our next step in our plans. But we will have an answer for you. Definitely before design is complete, we'll have an answer for you. But we are looking at that from a noise abatement standpoint.
Kenzo, can you have my email address and my phone number? Can you contact me and give me the update on that, please, sir?
Yes, yes, sir, will do. I received your email yesterday, by the way.
Yes, it's bmdtone@aol.com.
Yes, yes, I got it.
Yes, because that's just my concern, because if you see the next curve, if you go from that street to the next curve, which would be 4th Avenue and 61st Court, right there where you had your pointer, right there,
Mhm.
that is 4th Avenue. Okay, and that street, 61st, runs parallel to Cypress Creek Road. It used to be the old Cypress Creek Road. Now it's just 2 lanes going back and forth to 61st Court. I'm sorry. Do you understand me?
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be my concern. I don't, however, see that you're going to be able to run it all the way to 7th Avenue because I don't think you're going to have space.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a point here where we come down to nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Exactly.
Yeah. So we're looking at all that. The PD&E, that study's a higher level of analysis, kind of big picture. So they said to this intersection, we'll actually determine now where it is that we can fit it, and we'll take it as far as we can if it's warranted. And what's going to
It's
happen
definitely
here too.
warranted because it's so noisy now. Even without the road being widened, it's crazy noise.
Yeah. And then when we put in this shared use path, so the sidewalk that's there now is right up against the curb, and it's 5 feet wide. We're going to have the sidewalk set back from the curb. We'll have this buffer area in between the green, and the sidewalk, the shared use path will be 10 feet wide.
Where are you going to get that space from?
There's more space than you'd think, but yeah, we're playing with the space that's available, and then we'll have to accommodate the noise wall.
Because I know the lot down there at the end is open, but it's a part of the property down there at the end of the street. Yeah, it's just a concern to me because now you're talking about taking the sidewalk 10 feet and there's no space there, guys. I don't know how you're going to make that corner with a sound barrier and have a 10-foot sidewalk there.
Yeah, and we're working through all of that now. I definitely understand your concern.
Okay, that's the only thing I have is the noise and the safety issue. The safety issue to me, because I work with the kids in the community for 30 years now, that's the biggest thing for me. You could look me up. I'm a volunteer. I've been amongst this community for all my life, actually. I've owned 5 houses in the same neighborhood. So it's a concern to me because of the noise. I actually live on 3rd Terrace now. So the noise is just tremendous no matter what, especially if we get a north wind. So.
Yeah.
All right. Please keep me updated. I know we're, what, 2 years off with this?
Right.
Approximately. So,
Yeah.
I mean, please keep me updated. I do see that, you know, I don't think there's any way that we can get away without having that wall at least extend it to 4th Avenue to where that circle is, that curve is right there on 61st.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of space to there. However, you got these houses that are on 61st, they're facing Cypress Creek Road. So there's a lot of noise there too. But I'm more concerned about the safety aspect of it because, like I said, I spoke with Mr. Jasmine on the phone about numerous vehicles that have come through that fence at the end of my street and through that guardrail. They've already replaced the guardrail alone 3 times, alone with the fence probably a dozen times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that would be
well,
my biggest concern, guys.
yes, thank you. Thank you. We'll definitely keep you updated. And I'd like to add, Anthony, the other aspect of Mr. Davis's question was safety. Do you think, I mean, he mentioned the guardrail, had been, hit several times. It could be, from eastbound traffic on Cypress, not
That's what
necessarily, the off-ramp traffic.
it's actually off-ramp traffic that loses control and they get the spinning right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, and some of it is from underneath. They come from the west side of 95. They come underneath the overpass because they drag race down this street on Cypress Creek Road every Tuesday and Thursday night. So there's probably 100 cars out here drag racing. So that'd be that's a big concern for me as well.
Yeah, I would offer that potentially when we add this second lane and we signalize that ramp movement, now you're going to be coming off the ramp and you'll see a signal. It's possible that it's green, it's possible it's red. But usually when drivers see a signal, they tend to slow down and be a little more attentive than what's there now, which is that lane that kind of free flows with onto Cypress Creek. So that signal may actually force people to slow down or be at least a little more aware if it's green.
Okay, but that won't do anything for the noise though, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't, that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother analysis and we'll go through all that analysis.
Yeah, I understand. I'm missing baseball practice right now to be with you guys. So please be patient with me.
Thanks for that.
All right. Thanks for the input and please contact me with any updates as soon as possible. And if you decide against the wall, please let me know. That way I can go up the line because the wall needs to be put there. Okay.
All right, thank you. Yes,
Thank you,
do.
sir.
We'll do,
Have
sir.
a good day.
Thanks. Thank you. You too.
At this time, I don't see any other comments or questions. Kenzo?
No, I don't see any other questions either. Just check the chat box.
Again, we encourage
And
people to participate in the project, and contact information was provided on this on the slides earlier, but can also be found on the website 95 commercial to cypress.com. And as I said, the contact information is there. There.
Okay, it's good. Do we have any other questions at this time? Any comments, any concerns? Oh, I think there's another hand raised. Mr. Jackson Hurst. One on mute. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jackson Hurst. I live at 4216 Cornell Crossing, Kennesaw, Georgia, 30144. And Basically the major aspect that I support for the I-95 project is adding a collector distributor lane from 95 southbound from the park and ride lot down to Commercial Boulevard. And the reason for that is that will greatly eliminate the major weaving problem that happens between Cypress Creek Road and Commercial Boulevard.
Yes, Anthony, I think Mr. Hurst was referring to the city road where you got
Yeah.
a SEP collecting traffic from the park and ride lot onto I-95 south of Commercial.
Right. Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Mr. Hurst. That is going to greatly improve safety. You eliminate that weave movement. Now the traffic that's coming on from the park and ride lot and from Andrews Avenue isn't competing with traffic that's trying to exit onto Commercial. So that cross movement that happens there today, that'll be eliminated with these improvements. So definitely big safety benefits by reducing conflicts and also operational benefits by not having that slower traffic that's coming on from the ramp trying to change lanes over into I-95.
Okay, and I actually do have one question. Where the collector distributor lane ramp ends on 95 South, do you know, is there going to be an access point to the express lanes right there? Or is it going to be further south of where the collector distributor lanes end?
The access point to the express lanes will be further south, and I don't have that graphic with me, so I can't tell you exactly where it is, but it will be further south. It doesn't happen in that immediate area. There is, if you go to the I-95 Express website, they do have a graphic with the entry and exit points for the express lanes. So we can get you that information. I'm sorry I don't have it here, but I do know it is further south. I just don't know exactly where it is, but it is on the website.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get back to you on that, Mr. Hurst. And Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, that would be part of the I-95 3C. That's the new access between Hollywood and Sheridan.
Yeah, that's actually it'll be part of the I-95 Express Phase 3A1, Kenzo. That's the project that's under construction now, and there are a few access points before you get down to 595. I just don't remember the exact locations now, but they are,
Okay.
There is at least one.
Okay.
And we'll get you that information.
At this time, are there any other questions before we sign off? Thank you for your participation.
Leila, I'm sorry. It seems like we got a question in the chat.
Hi, we do, okay. As far as the sound wall being expanded to 7th Avenue, will the public, aka homeowners, have any input? As a homeowner on 61st Court, I'm against the sound wall being extended to 7th Avenue, but am in favor of it going to 4th.
Yes, that's a good question, Leila. I mean, the owners and the public are always given the opportunity for comments or input. And I believe during the PD&E study, there were 3 meetings: the kickoff, the alternative public meeting, and the public hearing. And today also, I mean, during the design phase, we are conducting this public meeting to allow the public, to provide any input or any concerns that they have. And the answer is yes. The public, will have, opportunity to provide input or to provide comments, during the design phase, prior to construction of the project. And also, as we mentioned at the beginning, if you have, anytime, you can contact me, with any questions or any concerns that you may have. The number is currently on the slide. My email address and my phone number, in case you want to contact me anytime about the project.
Okay, Leila, I think you can wrap it up now. Sorry, I won't interrupt.
Again, thank you for attending this evening's virtual workshop. If you have any questions or concerns or anything you'd like to talk about, again, contact Kenzo Jasmine at the Department of Transportation, District 4. Thank you for participating. Good night.
Thank you.